First of all, welcome to session 6 of A Time to Harvest for the Call of Cthulhu game. In our previous 5 sessions, we started out, we are students and one professor at Miskatonic University. We'd been sent on a field trip to the small Vermont town of Cobb's Corners to undertake 2 research projects. One was a geologic survey in the various hills looking for a strange new metal called Pasqualium. We'd been sent by the Federated Oil and Chemical Company. The other was to do an anthropological survey of the local folklore, and we had gotten funding from that through FOC as well as part of, if we're working for them to find this stuff, they can pay us to do what we want to do. It all started well until we began to discover that things were maybe not what they seemed to be in Cobb's Corner. It started out with the house we were staying at. A body began to emerge from beneath the flower bed and was determined, not conclusively, but that it was likely the body of Sarah McLaren, the wife of the husband who owned the home. He was the town drunk. Sarah was also the sister of the town sheriff, and so there was some issues there. Maybe the law wasn't too keen on us, also because the previous year's expedition had met with tragedy, having lost at least one member and the rest presumed dead or missing. But we managed to overcome that minor adversity, but we also ran into issues with the local town. They had a great number of stories to tell about the ongoings in Cobb's Corner, and some seemed far-fetched and some seemed a little more down to earth. We met the town doctor who thought there was vampires loose in the town, but he also mentioned having been called by the sheriff when he first came to town as the doctor to go to the cemetery because there had been grave robbings done, and they found the grave of Sarah McLaren had been dug up, and in her place was the body of a pig with all of its blood drained. And there had been many children in town who had died at an early age, often of strange circumstances and often very violently. We continued our survey, and one of the students that was with us, Robert Blaine, was acting very, very strangely, and it seemed as though he had an alcohol problem, but also as he was part of the earlier expedition that had unfortunately missed it due to breaking his arm the year before, he seemed to have some sort of vendetta against all of us, like we were taking the place of his former friends. Anyway, throughout our days there, we came to find, during one particular eventful day, this is the morning where we found the body, most of us absconded to the woods, seeking after some strange buzzing sound that we heard. And there in the woods we encountered strange creatures, small rat-like creatures that stood on hind legs, and some wielded tools, and they were all throughout the trees watching us and following us and sniffing the air, almost tasting us. Julian managed to take one out, and shortly after this they fled, and then a huge loathsome beast emerged from beneath the darkness of this small sugar maple forest. We naturally fled from that as well, wisely, not until Arthur had cast his first spell, learned by fellow student, losing his name, Jason Trent, who seemed to have a keen interest in the occult. And Arthur and the professor went one way, while Julian and Marian and Gerald went the other way. Well, Julian and Gerald, Julian fought the beast for a time, while Marian and Gerald stumbled into a small clearing where there was a stone archway, and fused into the stone was the body of a former student from the previous year's expedition, John Jeffries, and he was known to Marian. Something had happened to fuse him to the stone, and he seemed to beg for release. And so, after mercifully releasing him from his wounded state, there was a brief moment where insanity began to slowly descend upon the party. And I think everyone but Julian, that adventure, had succumbed to it. Later that day is when a curious fog had risen up that night, and some of the party were stuck at a geologic dig, and some were back at the cabin. But out of this fog came strange insect-like creatures, as big as a man or larger, strangely colored, pink and purple, with pincer-like claws, one of which we discovered we had eaten a few nights before after having found it in a local river, thinking it was some sort of freshwater lobster. And they had strange devices, strange mechanical or electronic devices that seemed to stun or kill some of the other students that were with us. We weren't sure what had happened. Well, after fleeing the geologic scene, I think that was Marian, Julian, and the professor, Marian, Gerald, and the professor were picked up by the local police and taken back to the jail, where they were arrested by Deputy Cutter for reasons unknown. Meanwhile, Arthur was back at the house with the others, and along with Julian, and there in the fog, strange creatures began to descend upon the house, and they fled in a car and managed to get back to town, where they were likewise arrested under the charge of public drunkenness. Now, coming in from the darkness was some of our fellow students that we had seen fall to these creatures, and they confirmed the detectives' doubts, the detectives' concerns that we had been drunk, and which of course was illegal because of the prohibition in the Volstead Act at the time. He called Professor Harold from the university to report our misdeeds, and Professor Harold showed up in shame and disgust, sending us back to Arkham with our hats proverbially in our hands. Back at Arkham, we kind of gathered ourselves and had to meet with the dean, and Jebediah had to meet with the president of the school, and we were essentially told that we were on probation, that we needed to keep our noses clean, else we be expelled, or in the case of Jebediah, be fired from the university. And so we went about our tasks, doing our best to do things above board. Now, here at school, we began to run into those fellow students that were on the expedition with us, and they were acting strangely. Perhaps most of all was Jason Trent, who called Arthur Arnold and seemed to have no interest in the occult, but had a great fascination with the American Revolutionary War. Others, such as the Irishman Harry Higgins, began to speak with a German accent, and Clarissa Thurber, who had befriended Marian, seemed to act as though the clothes she wore were very strange and uncomfortable, and she seemed as though she just wasn't comfortable in her own skin. Some of the others, such as Terence Laszlo, who had somewhat befriended Gerald, as they were both kind of upper crust kids, he seemed to be very vacant and almost sinister or mean of glance. And others, such as Roderick Block, a football player at Arkham, he had dropped out of football and was seen, I believe, by Arthur in the library crying, looking at an old newspaper article about a family that had been killed in Vermont while camping. Suffice it to say, something was definitely wrong. Oh, and there was another student, William Noakes, who began to harass one of the professors, Professor Albert Wilmarth. He was spotted outside of his class window, just peering in through the glass. He had also gone into the teacher's lounge and was speaking with him on very friendly terms that would be somewhat inappropriate for students to mix with faculty back in this day and age. And Professor Wilmarth had confided to Jebediah that he was being somewhat harassing, although not in a threatening way, just acting far too familiar with him. We also had a moment where Julian, Marian, and Gerald went in search of Robert Blaine. He had not been seen on campus for some time, and you found his house and actually met with the landlord there and his cat. And you had not found Robert there, but had gone through his room and found a few letters and other items. And all of these things will be in the handout section of the journals in Foundry. And then one night as you were walking by, you heard a gunshot. And you went in to investigate and managed to talk your way up into the room while the landlord was sent to retrieve the police. And in the room you found Robert Blaine shot to death, seemingly by his own hand. However, there was a smell in the air, and it was the smell of pomade, of hair product that you had smelled on the greased back hair of Terence Laszlo while you were working together on the expedition. And I believe that was Marian that smelled that, and Julian, you saw a strange shadow in the room that seemed to move past. In fact, you then tried to cast a spell of your own, and the spell went off, although you failed your pushed casting roll, and you lost consciousness. And the others took you out of the building just before the police arrived. Figured it's probably better not to put yourselves in the position where, after having just returned from Vermont with police involvement, to having the police involved again here on campus. And so you fled into the night. Let's pick up the action from there. So we've got let me make sure I'm on the right thing here. Let's go to Arthur. We're going to start with you. So you were not there at Robert Blaine's suicide. However, you did spend some time in the library and had that encounter with Roderick Block, and you've had a rather difficult time. You don't make friends easily, and you thought you had made a friend with Jason Trent, but he also doesn't seem to pay you any mind or give you the time of day. Well, that night, you go to bed, and you sleep somewhat fitfully, and you're dreaming that you are at the library in your favorite place, which is, I believe, is the third desk from the window where you study. And in your dream, you blink and you find yourself standing on a shore that stretches endlessly in both directions, not of sand, but of black glass. Each step you take cracks the surface beneath you, but there's no sound, no echo. The sky above you churns with constellations that don't belong to any known hemisphere. They twist and rearrange themselves as you look, shifting into words, then into symbols, then into something that feels like thoughts not your own. The air smells of salt and parchment, the same scent that clings to Jason Trent's book of witchcraft. You remember sitting with him back in Cobb's Corners, the two of you bent over that book he showed you, tracing a sigil in the candlelight. He said it was harmless. Just a name of power, nothing more, he said. But in the dream, that name feels alive, whispering through the tide. The sea is still, a mirror of obsidian. Then, without warning, it moves, not like water stirred by wind, but like a living surface shifting in slow awareness. A single ripple runs across the horizon, and the reflection of the stars above began to distort, curling downward as though drawn toward you. You try to step back, but the glass beneath your feet sticks, as if it recognizes you. The constellations above align again, forming a pattern you recognize from Trent's book. That name that you had spoken, the thing that you had seemingly called to. A sound follows, not from the sky or the sea, but from inside your own head, a slow, wet chuckle. "Arthur," it says, "you opened the door so carefully. You even said the words right." The surface of the sea rises, impossibly high, until it towers over you like a curtain of night. Within its depths you can see faces, or perhaps reflections of your own, melting, reforming, vanishing again. You see Jason among them, his mouth open in a silent scream, his eyes reflecting galaxies in his glasses. And then it looks at you. The wave folds into itself, forming a single colossal eye, vast and lidless, shining with the faint glow of nebula. It does not blink. It simply regards you, as a scholar might regard an insect under glass. Your mind fractures under the weight of its attention. Every memory of your life unspools before you, your lectures, your books, your quiet dinners in the dorm. All of it seen from the outside, as if you were someone else's dream all along. You try to speak, to deny it, but your mouth fills with brine. The voice returns, deeper now, resonant, with the weight of stars. "He gave me your name, and now I give you mine." You feel something press against your forehead, cold and infinite, a sigil burning into your skin, searing through flesh and bone and thought. You glimpse it only for an instant, a spiral of eyes and letters that fold back into themselves, impossible to draw, impossible to forget. The sea collapses and the eye vanishes, but the sound of that name still echoes through you. You wake suddenly, heart pounding, bed sheets soaked with sweat. The night is silent. But on your bedside desk, your notebook lies open to a blank page. Etched into the paper, not in ink, but in tiny grains of black sand, is that same impossible sigil. Arthur, would you please click on that little sanity loss there so that you make a sanity roll for me? Go ahead and click on that percent there. Ooh. Oh. That is not what we want. So what involuntary action do you perform as your sanity is pushed to its limits?
Oh, I think maybe I would throw the book off the table with the sigil on it. Throw it across the room or something.
So reflexively you reach out and just slap that book down onto the floor.
Yeah.
And as you do, now please roll where it says roll sanity loss. 3. Oof. Sheesh. Okay. Let's see. What's your daily? Is 7. Okay. So you're almost halfway there, and we just started.
Great.
You cast that down. What do you think that sigil, that symbol, what do you think that means, or what do you recall of your conversations with Jason Trent? And we may not have covered this in game, so I'm giving you a chance to kind of fill in some of the gaps here. What was this about?
Well, I do remember him teaching me some spells, so this could possibly be something for a spell. I don't remember if he told me any names of things.
If he did, you have blocked them out.
Okay.
There was actually make an intelligence roll for me. There was a name.
Okay.
Ooh, is
nice.
Okay. With an extreme success, you do remember the name.
Awesome.
I'm going to type it out here for you. There was 2 names. One You don't know if this is exactly what they were, but it was Shub and Nigrath.
Okay.
And when you think those names now, as you recall that conversation, you feel a heat in your forehead, almost as though you've got a bright light, as though from a magnifying glass held up to the sun, reflecting on your forehead. And you rub and peel your hand away, and small flakes of that black obsidian glass sand come away from your skin.
If I go look in a mirror, is the sigil on my forehead?
It is not, but you feel that it's there, and you think if you just imagine, you could almost will it to appear. But perhaps it's just a figment of your imagination.
Okay. I also want to look in Jason's journal to see if this name or the sigil is anywhere in there.
Oh yeah, so you have the journal in your inventory. Let me take a look here. Make a make a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
Oh.
No. You scan through, and there's not much in there that really comes to mind. In fact, you don't find that name at all, and you cannot push a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
Yeah.
You don't find that name, but that name, that means something. And do you know where you might be able to find out? If not in this journal, where you might find out about that?
Possibly in the library or something?
Yeah, so you had met Dr. Henry Armitage, who was the head of the restricted section of the Orne Library. You think you might have success meeting with him, and he seems to be, I mean, you may approach him and he may not give you the time of the day, but Jebediah, it seemed like they were at least on familiar terms, because they did have a conversation and he did mention you and you did get to meet him. So that's a lead you can follow up on.
Okay, cool.
Let's jump to Gerald Rawlinson. So Gerald, you've had an eventful day, and you make it with Julian and Marian back to the dorms, and the two of you probably see that Julian is in bed. He doesn't seem to be harmed. He's just like he's asleep or in some sort of trance, perhaps. Do you think a good night's rest will probably do him good? And so you get him in bed, and you go to your own room and crawl into bed yourself. And your safe place is at the library. There's a section of philosophical books, and that's your safe place. And your dreams take you there as well. You dream of the library again, but it's not the Orne Library this time. It's deeper. It's older. The air is heavy, almost liquid, pressing down as you descend the stairs that spiral beneath the floorboards. The light of your lantern flickers weakly, swallowed by the dark-like breath into a tomb. You reach the bottom and find yourself amongst endless shelves. The books are bound in every material imaginable: calfskin, copper plates, stone tablets, and one or two that you realize too late are bound in something that once lived. The air hums softly, filled with the sound of rustling pages, though none of the books are open. You run your fingers along the spines as you walk, reading the gilded titles. Each bears the same dedication, embossed in fading gold leaf: for the steward of knowledge. And you know that phrase. Let me type that out here. For the steward of knowledge. You know that phrase. You've seen it before, carved into the study door of your Mr. Rawlinson's mansion. It's been not just carved by hand, but artistically, as though it were engraved. That memory stirs unease, but also pride, that you were chosen to serve under someone so learned, so influential. Yet as you move deeper through the library, you notice a pattern. Every title bears your patron's name beside another, scratched hastily into the leather beneath. Sometimes the second name is burned away, but sometimes you see it and it's your name. Your breath catches. The hum in the air grows louder, 1,000 whispering voices blending into one murmur. You turn, thinking that you saw motion, a figure at the end of the stacks, tall and thin, wearing your patron's coat. You call out, but the sound falls flat, as though you have no voice. Instead, you hear a voice echo softly between the shelves, smooth and familiar. "Gerald, my boy, I told you knowledge is inheritance, but inheritance must be earned." The light of your lantern flickers, and the books begin to tremble. One by one, they slip from the shelves, falling open on the floor, their pages turning themselves. You realize the whispers are coming from them. Each voice is faintly yours, murmuring, pleading. You kneel to look closer and see the same paragraph written over and over again. And that paragraph is, "He gave me everything. He took only what I no longer needed." When you reach to close one of the books, your fingertips brush the paper, and the page feels warm, pulsing. The ink bleeds outward, twisting into veins. The words shift, spelling out your name. You jerk your hand back, and the entire floor ripples into a pond disturbed. Beneath the thin film of dust and parchment, you glimpse movement. Hundreds of pale, grasping hands, pressing upward through the floorboards, fingers twitching, reaching for you. Then you see him, your patron, standing between the shelves, smiling faintly. His eyes are gone, replaced by twin holes filled with pages, the paper rustling as he speaks. "Every ward is a vessel, Gerald. Every gift I give you makes you more like me." The shelves groan. The books begin to melt into one another, forming a single vast volume that stretches endlessly down the aisle. Its spine bears your patron's name, and beneath it, freshly carved, is yours. You run. The corridor of shelves stretches on forever, the light dimming only until the faint shimmer of gilt lettering marks the walls. You can still hear his voice behind you, calm, patient, echoing in your ears. "Don't fear the inheritance, my boy. You've already signed your name." You wake in your narrow dorm bed, the scent of must and vellum still in your nose. Your hands are stained faintly with ink. On your desk, your patron's last letter lies open, and there in his neat handwriting is the phrase you saw in the dream, "For the steward of knowledge." And Gerald, would you please go ahead and make that roll for me as well?
Absolutely.
And then click on the button that came up, the sanity
Oh,
check, and ooh, you nailed it. So you still take one, but you don't have that involuntary action, and could have been far worse. So what do you make of this dream, and what would this mean to Gerald?
yeah. I think he wakes up and he has that ringing in his ears, knowledge is inheritance, but inheritance must be earned. But he sees that letter, and I think, in a way, he can kind of just say, well, a long day, and it was quite traumatic yesterday, and while in my dreams, it reckons that I would have read something and immediately, processed that through dreams, and he kind of just deludes himself a little.
But you make a distinct connection between what you dreamed as well as your daily events. Let me have you give me a roll. This is going to be a psychology roll as you talk yourself through that dream experience. Excellent. And in doing so, you are able to deflect whatever steep emotional toll this might have exacted from you. How is your relationship with your patron?
Yeah, I've kind of imagined it's quite good. Like Gerald, for whatever reason, didn't have parents, and this man has taken him in, and like a really good relationship actually. But I like the idea that line about vessels really disturbs him. It's something making him re-feel that relationship because they haven't talked in a while, but they're relatively close. I think the benefactor, whatever his first name is, Mr. Rawlinson, he's actually quite a good guy.
So the last time you spoke, was it on good terms or was it confrontational at all? And again, I'm this is nothing we've covered in the game. Just giving you an opportunity to kind of build on the scenario and kind of twist things the way that you might see them going for Gerald.
Right, yeah, and I think like on good terms, there was no enmity, but Gerald also probably does feel a little pushed into doing what the his benefactor wants him to do, as opposed to what he wants to do.
Yeah,
So there was tension, like as there will be.
excellent. Let's jump over to Marian. And so after you helped get Julian to his room, you and Gerald went your separate ways, and Marian, you went to bed as the hour was late, and likewise you dreamed as well. Now you've been having strange dreams ever since you went to Cobb's Corner, but those seem to end after you left there. This is the first night that you've had a strange dream, and that goes true for everyone. No one else has had strange dreams for at least a couple of weeks, and now it seems like they are returning. And you wake in the half dark of your dorm room, your heart drumming against your ribs. The room looks normal at first, your notebooks on the desk, your half polished brass ingot by the window, which is you've got a few small metallurgical samples in here. The faint orange glow of the street lamp outside, and the air smells faintly of metal, like iron filings and old pennies. Something hums softly in the walls. It sounds like the low, steady resonance of a furnace, but there's no heat, only faint vibration, just enough to make the glass of the window tremble. You glance toward the mirror above your dresser. The moonlight catches your reflection, and you look tired, pale eyes sunken from too many nights studying metallurgical phase transitions. Then your reflection exhales before you do. The sound fogs the glass. You freeze. The fogged breath traces something on the surface, faint at first, then clearer. It's a circle ringed with jagged branching lines, almost like a crystallization pattern, or perhaps a sigil. You recognize the geometry of it. It's fractal, impossible, like a metal lattice folding in dimensions that shouldn't exist. Then, with a soft crack, the mirror begins to change color, silver giving way to dull red, as though it's being heated from behind. Your reflection smiles, the corners of her lips twitching upward in an imitation of amusement. The glass ripples like pond water. Your reflection's eyes gleam molten orange, like slag in a crucible. You can smell the air turning, sharp, electric, metallic. The hum in the room deepens into a pulse. You step back, but your reflection leans forward, her voice a hiss of grinding metal. You know what happens when impurities are burned away. The mirror bubbles. Liquid metal seeps from the edges, dripping down the wall, hissing as it hits the floor. It pools around your feet, still warm, and you can see your own reflection in it. But this one is perfectly still. No breath, no movement. Then slowly the reflection in the puddle lifts its head, independent of you. The voice comes again, whispering like molten steel poured into a mold. You were the impurity. You wake gasping, the taste of copper on your tongue. There's no sound, no heat, but when you reach for the light, your hand comes away faintly gray, dusted with what looks like fine ash. And please give me that sanity roll.
Yup. What a dream. Oh,
All right, you're going to lose 1d4. You're going to have an involuntary reaction. What is your involuntary reaction?
um, feel like she probably screams.
You let out
Like
like one of those just like a jump,
Yeah.
or is it like a long, drawn out scream?
I think it's like an and a jump, like when you have the dream where you're like falling and then your body kind of like lurches up.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You will lose 1 point of sanity, please.
All right.
And you catch yourself. Your heart is just pounding. What do you do next? What does this dream mean or signify to Marian? That you were the impurity that must be burned away.
Ooh. I mean, I feel like she is a woman in an academic setting in like the 30s, and is pursuing her PhD, which is like super unheard of. So I feel like, you know, as much as she puts on kind of like a front of like not really having it together, but I guess like being confident in herself and her abilities.
Yeah.
There is still kind of that like insecurity and like doubt. So I feel like maybe that's kind of it, as like, you know, her as a woman is like the impure thing sort of in the hallowed halls of academia. And she's not going to be able to cut it.
Oh, that's awesome. Give me a psychology roll, please.
Ooh. Oh, hey.
Oh my goodness, you nailed it. Awesome. So you, in fact, I'm looking at your character. Your daily sanity loss is off. Let me fix that.
Oh.
And I'm gonna put you back at 57. Oops.
7.
Oh, it's a little much there. Then let me take that one off, just so we get that corrected.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There we go. Okay. And let me get rid of your insanity here.
Yay.
There we go. Much better. With that critical success there, I think you've nailed your assessment. That it's more just the hill you're climbing is very, very steep, and it's easy to begin to doubt yourself. And maybe that's what this dream is about. Before, you had dreams about that horrible sugar maple forest and bad things happening to you, but this seemed to be more focused on you and maybe your reflection of yourself and your own personal doubts. But much like steel is only hardened by forging and quenching, you've given yourself into that process. You know that this is what you have to do. And doing so, you're able to kind of push that dream aside, although those doubts will likely remain with you. Let's jump to Julian. And let me make sure your let me correct your daily sanity. There we go. So, and Gerald was yours. Yep, yours is. Good. So, Julian, you've been unconscious for some time after having cast that spell. And in your unconsciousness, you experience something that you have always wanted to experience. In this dream state, you are in Egypt, and you know it, though you can't recall how you got there. The air is hot and utterly still. The sand around you gleams like powdered gold under a blood-red sun sinking toward the horizon. And before you stands a half-buried doorway, the kind you've seen 1,000 times in books and lectures, sealed with a smooth stone slab carved with hieroglyphs. You brush your fingers across the surface, feeling the cool weight of it, the precision of the chiseling. It's beautiful work. You can even recognize some of the signs: life, rebirth, hunger. But there's one glyph that doesn't belong. It's not Egyptian at all. It's a spiral of intersecting lines that make your eyes ache when you stare at it too long. The sand shifts at your feet, whispering like parchment rubbed together. You feel compelled, no, invited, to enter the tomb. You press your hands against the slab, and it slides silently aside. The passage yawns open before you, and the smell hits you. Old stone, dust, and the faintest trace of rotting lotus. You light your lantern and descend. The air grows colder with each step. The walls are lined with carvings, half eroded, the stories of forgotten kings and their bargains with gods that have no names. At the bottom of the stair, a small chamber awaits. It is not like Tutankhamun's. There are no treasures, no gold or canopic jars, only a single black sarcophagus resting on a raised dais. Its surface is carved with strange looping symbols that crawl when you look too long, rearranging themselves like insects in the dark.
Can't hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Cross, can you hear me? Oh.
I was just getting good too.
Oh, let me drop out and I'll rejoin the party. 1 second. All right, Cross, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect.
I don't know if everybody else could hear you, but before I couldn't hear you.
Let me just back up a paragraph and we'll get back into it. So you press your hands against the slab and it slides silently aside. The passage yawns open before you and the smell hits you, old stone, dust, and the faintest trace of rotting lotus. You light your lantern and descend. The air grows colder with each step. The walls are lined with carvings, half eroded, the stories of forgotten kings and their bargains with gods that have no names. At the bottom of the stair a small chamber awaits. It is not like Tutankhamun's. There are no treasures, no gold or canopic jars, only a single black sarcophagus resting on a raised dais. Its surface is carved with strange looping symbols that crawl when you look too long, rearranging themselves like insects in the dark. You lean closer. The lid is slightly askew. The air around you grows heavy, not with the weight of sand, but with expectation. You hear a voice whispering just beneath the range of hearing, in a language you don't know, but half understand. It sounds like your own thoughts, only deeper, older. You sought the tomb, it says. You found it. Your lantern flickers, shadows dance across the carvings, and for a heartbeat they seem to move. The figures on the wall turning their faces toward you, their eyes gouged out and filled with black glass. The whispering rises to a hiss. You touch the sarcophagus lid, and it's warm. A hairline crack runs down its center, widening slowly. Something inside exhales, dry and endless, like the sigh of wind through catacombs. The light dims. You step back, heart hammering, as a faint glow seeps through the opening. It's not golden, nor holy. It's sickly, phosphorescent green, the color of decay and deep water. From within the coffin you see movement, a shape, human, but not. The wrappings peel back like petals, revealing a face that is almost yours, the same eyes, only older, and behind them, something vast, ancient, and awake. The figure opens its mouth, and dry dust spills out, forming words that you can barely hear. He opened the way. You will finish what he began. The walls begin to shake. The hieroglyphs come alive, writhing like snakes, shedding their stone shells to reveal pulsating veins of light beneath. Sand pours from the ceiling, and for an instant you glimpse what lies beyond the collapsing chamber. Not more desert, but endless black, a sky filled with hollow stars that look down and blink. You fall backward into the dust, choking as the sarcophagus splits open. The figure within rises, not walking, but floating, the linen wrappings unraveling into shadow. It lifts its hand, your hand, and the voice inside your skull says, "You are remembered, Julian. You were never meant to leave." The darkness swallows you whole. You wake in your dorm room, breath ragged, your throat dry and gritty. The air smells faintly of dust and old incense. On your desk, your notes on the tomb of Tutankhamun lie open, and in the margin, where you don't remember writing anything, is a single phrase in scrawled hieroglyphic form. And it says, "The door remembers who touched it." And
Wow.
I'm going to have you click on that little button in the chat bar for the sanity loss. See if you pass your sanity roll. Go ahead and click on that other button it generated. And you do. You pass. So I'm going to apply 1 point of sanity loss to you. What do you make of this? The tomb of Tutankhamun is important to you. What do you make of this dream that the door remembers who touched it?
Basically, I was exposed to something. I think it's just trying to tell me that when I went to that village, something affected us, sort of infected us in a way
Yeah.
that is unnatural. Yeah.
Give me a roll for that. Give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll, please.
Yeah. Basically, we're touched by this bloody thing.
Yep.
God damn it. Where is... There it is. Let's go, Cthulhu, man. Oh, no.
So you don't know what it might have been that happened to you, but you think that a door has been opened and that perhaps you had some part in its opening. And in doing so, perhaps you have doomed everyone. And that's where your point of sanity loss comes from, is the knowledge that perhaps you have opened the door. And then your mind begins to recall your casting. The first time you explored magic, and you did fail that roll. And perhaps that is the door that was opened as you began to delve into those darker secrets that have been lost to most of humanity, although there are some that remember, although we might call them insane and blasphemous for the things that they say. Let's last go to Jebediah. Jebediah, you also have a dream. Now you find yourself standing at the lectern in one of Miskatonic's grand lecture halls. The familiar scent of chalk dust, floor polish, and stale pipe smoke is heavy in the air. The students sit neatly before you, dozens of them, notebooks open, pens poised. Everything looks as it should, and yet something in the light feels wrong. It's dimmer than it should be, as though the windows are covered in fog. You glance toward the blackboard. You've written your name there in tidy script, Professor J. Baldwin. But the chalk drips, faintly, as if the letters are wet. Beneath it, someone has scrawled a word you don't remember writing. Cobb's Corners. A cold unease ripples through you. You clear your throat, ready to begin your lecture on comparative folklore, but the words that leave your mouth are not the ones that you intended. They spill out in a low, rhythmic chant, guttural symbols that vibrate through your chest like the beating of a drum. The students repeat them in perfect unison, their voices rising and falling with mechanical precision. The chalk trembles in your hand. You try to stop, to correct yourself, to speak English again, but your hand moves on its own, scrawling symbols across the board in a fevered rush. The letters twist and coil, forming not words, but shapes. Spirals, eyes, broken circles. They begin to move, writhing across the blackboard like living things. Then you notice the students. Their faces are gone, blurred, melting like wax under heat. Each one now bears the same pale, insect-like visage you saw in Cobb's Corners, in the midst, in that cursed place where reason slipped away. One of them, you think it's young Arthur, raises a trembling hand. "Professor," he whispers, "you told us knowledge would protect us." Then others begin to murmur the same phrase over and over again. And they murmur, "You told us we'd be safe. You told us. You told us. You told us. The words crescendo into a roar, shaking the room. The walls bulge outward as if something massive presses from the other side. The ceiling begins to crack, thin rivulets of black water leaking through. The lights flicker, then dim entirely. You clutch the lectern to steady yourself, but when you look down, you see that your hands are not your own. Your skin has turned ashen, stretched thin over bone. You can see the faint glow of symbols pulsing beneath the surface like words written inside your flesh. A voice, low, calm, and patient, speaks from the darkness behind you. You opened their minds, Jebediah. You called them to the edge, and when they looked back, you looked with them. You turn, but the lecture hall is gone. You stand instead in a vast amphitheater carved of stone, filled with rows of motionless, faceless figures. The blackboard behind you has become a great slab of obsidian, the sigils upon it burning faintly red. The voice continues, echoing from everywhere and nowhere. You are still teaching, Professor. The lesson has no end. The figures in the seats begin to move again, slowly, silently, bending forward in unison. They open their mouths impossibly wide, and you see rows of jagged teeth, black as pitch. The roar that follows is not sound but thought, a single unified demand, flooding your mind until it drowns out your own voice. You wake at your desk, the gray light of dawn spilling across your notes. The lecture hall is silent. The chalkboard across from you is blank, except for one faint phrase scrawled in your own handwriting, though you do not remember writing it. And it says, "Class dismissed when the stars are right." And, Professor, please give me a sanity loss. And click on that sanity check button. Oh, you made it, so you will lose 1. I'll go ahead and apply that to you. So, Professor, what do you think this meant? Where do you think this dream came from?
Well, it's likely that this has something to do with me being responsible for overseeing the expedition, and clearly that went wrong, and this is likely has to do something with that, I would assume.
Yeah, I think you would be correct in that assessment. Give me a psychology roll, please. Do you want to push it and see if there's deeper meaning there?
Sure.
There is deeper meaning as you begin to consider, I put these kids at risk, and, I was responsible for them. But then you recall something that you are still teaching, Professor. The lesson has no end, the voice told you. And you know that you still need to protect them, that their trials are not over. Even though you're no longer in Cobb's corner, everyone is still in danger. And you need to find out exactly what's going on. Now, the day previously, you had met with Professor Wilmarth that evening. And you had gone to his office, and you'd seen that other student, William Noakes, peeking in through the windows. And your conversations with Wilmarth, he seemed a little bit strained. And you know a little bit about Professor Wilmarth. You know that he had gone to Vermont a few years prior, investigating something. As you recall on that, do you have any information on what that might have been? I think you and I kind of spoke between the last session and now about maybe what you know about Professor Wilmarth. Do you recall that? I know it's been a few weeks.
I don't remember.
So Professor Wilmarth had he'd received some letters from someone named Henry Akeley in Vermont, saying that strange beings from outer space had been tromping through his yard and whispering at him through his windows. And could Professor Wilmarth please come and help him make sense of this? As Professor Wilmarth had written letters and journal articles about this sort of thing, about encountering beings from outer space and how it was likely a manifestation of other things, and that he desperately wanted proof of this. And so this Henry Akeley had contacted him about this. And you know that Professor Wilmarth went out there to Vermont to meet with him, and suddenly Henry Akeley had changed his mind and said, no, everything's fine. There's nothing out here. It was all a figment of my imagination. But then Professor Wilmarth confided in you that as he spoke with Henry Akeley, apparently the man was quite ill, because he just sat in a darkened corner of his room, wrapped in a blanket, only his face and hands visible, and when he spoke it was whispers, and there was a faint metallic smell and almost a vibration to his voice that seemed strange to Wilmarth. And your experiences in Vermont and the things that you have seen, you wonder if Wilmarth might not have more information for you, and perhaps you can confide in him with what you saw and see if he can make heads or tails. Now, you might be reluctant because, in academia that would be like telling people that you believe in Santa Claus, but maybe you try your luck and have some evidence. We'll start with you after all of these dreams. What would you do that morning after getting ready for the day, Jebediah?
Yes, perhaps it would be beneficial to meet with Professor Wilmarth.
He's got a class he's teaching, and you go into the classroom. It's in a large lecture hall, and you walk in through the back and seat yourself, and you can see all the students there eagerly listening to him as he speaks to these various students. And of course you see William Noakes. He is front and center, and he is listening with rapt attention. He's got his elbow on his desk, and he's made a fist, and he's resting his chin, just looking almost in worshipful awe at Professor Wilmarth. And Professor Wilmarth, you notice that every now and then he'll look at William and quickly look away. And once the lecture concludes, William steps up and begins to speak with him. Do you intrude upon their conversation, or do you wait for that to finish before you go and talk to Wilmarth?
No, I think I will intrude before that conversation is concluded.
As you get up there, give me a spot hidden roll. You can see that William is speaking quietly. As you get up, it's not easy to hear what they're saying. You'd have to get really close. If you want to push that would be getting really close to try and listen in. Okay, as you get up there, William turns around and sees you and instantly grows quiet. And he looks at Wilmarth and says, we can talk about this again another time. And Wilmarth says, not likely. And then looks at you, almost grateful that you have arrived. He's like, oh, Professor Baldwin, your intrusion is most welcome. Please, walk with me. Let us talk a moment. And he bids you to go out into the hallway. As you walk with him, there's some small talk, how's your day, what's going on, and then you decide maybe you have the opportunity. Do you ask about what William was doing, or do you push directly into your own line of questions?
No, I think that I will bring up the dreams, the strange dream, and perhaps ask if he had a similar experience after his time in Vermont.
He freezes in his steps, and he looks at you and says, what kind of dream? Was it the kind where you hear a voice warning you, threatening you?
Yes, indeed it was, yes.
And you see his hand come up to push his glasses further up on his face, and his hand is trembling. And he said, oh, Jebediah, do you believe that there is the likelihood of life not of this earth?
Well, there's certainly a very distinct possibility.
Give me an anthropology roll, please. You know that throughout history there are various cultures that have myths about visitations from other worlds, and in fact many of the commonly held Christian and Jewish beliefs, as found in the Old Testament and the Torah, describe events that could possibly be related to extraterrestrial visitation. But you've always perhaps felt that this was more allegorical than real. But where there's a lot of smoke, maybe there's a fire. And Wilmarth says, you know, when I went to meet Henry Akeley those years back, he said a few things to me. He had a story. He made me an offer, actually, that how would it be, and I pose this to you, how would it be if you could see beyond the stars, to visit other planets, places as yet undiscovered by science? Would you take up that opportunity, Professor?
Well, I suppose I've always prided myself on discovery, and I suppose that would be an excellent opportunity, though I'm not sure quite what you're getting at.
Well, this is precisely what Henry Akeley offered me. He said there was a race of beings from a planet far away. I believe he called the name Yuggoth, was the term he used. And these beings were said to be astral travelers. They could traverse the spaces between the stars. And according to Akeley, they chose a few select individuals to go with them. Now, our bodies, of course, cannot survive the vacuum of space or the great time that would be required to travel those immense distances across that vast gulf of nothing. But he said these beings could take a human in a certain form, and what they would do is, I know this sounds strange, but they would extract their brain, place it into some sort of sealed metal canister, and they would take that with them. And that brain could be connected to some sort of mechanical or electrical apparatus that would allow them vision and hearing and all the other senses. And as such, they could be immortal, and they could traverse all those vast gulfs and see limitless worlds not of our own. Now, I think you'll agree with me that this was simply the rantings of a lunatic, and I took it as such. However, that boy, William, he asked me something just now, and, well, it reminded me of that conversation I had with Henry Akeley, but also terrifies me, because he asked me if I was ready to take the journey. Now, what do you suppose he meant by that?
Well, I'm not sure what quite he meant by that, though I can see how you could make the connection there. And normally, well, I would dismiss this. These last few weeks have been strange, and I have noticed several of the students acting rather strangely that were on that trip. Yes, it's quite a curious connection.
Well, have you spoken with Professor Harold? He seems a changed man since that trip. Did he went out to Vermont to retrieve you all, didn't he?
Yes, he's been rather indifferent to me since. I've only spoken with him a handful of times.
And me as well. In fact, I see him in the company of some of those students that you went cavorting through the wilds of Vermont with, and he seems to have no mind for the rest of the faculty, merely those few students. And you'll forgive a tired professor for his imaginings, but I wonder if perhaps there's some connection there. Now, speak frankly, did you see anything otherworldly while you were in Vermont?
Well, I will admit that on our final night there, I and some other students did encounter something rather strange. Some sort of weird creatures, the best way I think to put it. Unfortunately, I was struck with blindness by this strange occurrence, and only with the help of a student were he and I able to make it back to the road and towards town, though I did get a brief glance, and I'm not sure quite how to describe them. They were insectoid and pale and quite strange, yes.
Did they have wings or claw-like appendages?
Well, yes, now that you mention it, I do believe that they did.
Did they speak with you, or did they buzz or vibrate with some strange resonance?
Well, in fact, it was just that, a sort of buzzing sound, almost like an insect. In fact, my student Arthur, he had been hearing it for days before this occurrence, near the house that we were staying at.
You see Professor Wilmarth put his hand up to his mouth as though he's going to be sick, and he is turning pale, and you can tell that he is unwell. Give me a spot hidden roll, please. He turns away from you for a moment as though he does not want to make eye contact with you. And if you want to push that, you can either turn him back or position him in a way that you can see him more clearly. Do you turn him back to you, or do you move in front of him, having turned away?
I think that I would move in front of him.
So as not to put hands on him, you move in front of him, and you can see that he has tears in his eyes, and that he is sweating profusely. And he says, "I can't believe this is happening. I think what Akeley told me in his house in the dark, I think perhaps it was true. And if that's correct, well, we are all in grave danger, but none more than you, having seen them. They will come for you, Professor, and those that you were with. It sounds as though perhaps they have taken some of the others already."
Well, yes, in fact, the dream that I had spoken of protecting the students that I still had in my care. What do you suppose would be the best course of action?
Well, I think to keep an eye on those in your group that you escaped with, to keep them safe, but also those that you said fell to these strange beings. If what I'm thinking is correct, it's possible that, well, I dare not even say it, but perhaps their minds have been taken from them. And if they can take a mind from someone, could they not put another mind in its place? It is said these minds, as Henry Akeley told me, could be immortal. Who knows how old and evil some of these minds might be. They will use us as tools to get what they want, and they will find those most cruel to do their bidding. I suggest you start there and check on all of those that were on the expedition with you. Quietly, secretly if you must, but see if my fears are true. And if they are, then, well, I don't even know if heaven can help us in that case.
Yes, I think you might be right.
Now, if you will excuse me, I need to go put some thoughts to paper. Unless something should happen to me. That William seems rather too comfortable around me, and I worry if something should happen to me, Professor, in my office, beneath the third drawer on the right of my desk is a false bottom. I'm going to leave some writings there, just in case. It will account everything there. Please see that that's taken to the proper authorities.
Yes, certainly. This conversation has been a great help and relief.
Thank you. Let's change the scene. Let's go to Marian. So Marian, you've woken up. You've had this terrible dream. You have classes today. Mm-hmm. How do you go about your day? Do you go about your normal routine, or do you do something different?
It's a good question. I think she would still keep up the normal routine, and maybe she tries even harder to answer questions or get things right or to prove herself.
Yeah. So maybe you're volunteering to answer things, or where others might be less or more reluctant to be called upon. Maybe you relish the opportunity.
Yeah. She's kind of a little bit maybe obnoxious, show-offy about it.
Yeah.
But she's really determined to show them, today.
Give me a one of your arts and crafts metalworking as you are asked a rather difficult question.
Ooh.
And see if you get the right answer or are made to look foolish.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you missed it by 1. Do you spend a point of luck or do you push it?
Oh, we're gonna spend a point of luck.
It's a tricky question. And as you give the answer, it's only because of the way that you word it that others don't instantly pounce on you and say, oh, she doesn't know anything. But as you talk through your response, the teacher pauses and gives you that time to explain your rationale. And when you do, the teacher nods knowingly. Very good, Marian. You'll make a fine scientist one day. And you take a moment to just almost bask in your moment there to shine. And as you do, you can feel eyes kind of burning into the back of your head. Give me a spot hidden roll, please.
Ooh. Oh, almost was the 10.
That was close. Do you turn to make eye contact with anyone that... In fact, maybe you can even hear some whispers oh, teacher's pet kind of thing. Do you turn and make eye contact? If you push that roll, that would be turning to look at someone.
Yeah, I'll push it. I feel if people are whispering, she's gonna acknowledge them.
Oh, missed it by 5.
Wow.
So you turn defiantly, and you see a few people instantly look away. But one of the people that still looks at you is Roderick Block. And he was on the expedition with you, and he, he's very gregarious. People around school know him as, one of the football stars, and he had this interest in going on this course for extra credit, or on the field trip for extra credit. But now in class, he just seems lost. and he is sitting kind of behind you and to the left. And as you turn around, you see him, and he's looking at you. He doesn't have vitriol in his eyes. You see his eyes are red, as though he is either hungover or perhaps he's been crying, which you can't tell. But you see him looking at you, and he gives out a very faint smile. Now, he's normally very talkative, very, very open, but he just gives you the faintest of smiles. He's not upset that you were showing off in class, but you can tell there's something going on with Roderick.
Interesting. Well, if he's not, I think Marian would maybe give him like a small wave of acknowledgement or something before she would turn back around.
Ooh, you give him a little wave, and his eyes instantly see your hand, and he looks up at your face, and he gives you a look, and it's a hopeful look. Give me a psychology roll. Or sorry, not psychology. Give me a it would be psychology. Sorry, give me a psychology roll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to push that to try and decipher what his look might have meant?
Sure. The chances are slim, but why not?
Why not?
Why not?
The worst that can happen is something bad.
Yeah, nope.
So he looks at you for a minute, and he opens his mouth like he wants to say something, and then he closes it and just returns your smile. But you get the sense that meant something to him, like maybe you just changed his day for the better, just by that simple act of a wave and looking at him. And then you go back to your lecture, and at the end of class, as everyone kind of pushes their desks back, or their seats back from their desk, you turn to look, and he has grabbed his stuff, and he's gone in a flash, and you just see his back as he walks out of the classroom door and walks away. Do you go pursue him, or do you go to your next class?
We'll follow him.
Okay. You see him walking down the hallway, and he passes two people. One is Lewis Gibbons, and the other is Terrence Laszlo. And as he passes them, they both look at him, and Lewis holds out his hand as though to press against Roderick's chest to stop him, and Roderick knocks his hand away and continues walking. And then Lewis and Terrence look at you, and Terrence, I mean, you can see him scowling in that little avatar there. Mm-hmm. He scowls at you, and you get that smell again that you smelled the night before in Robert Blaine's room, that smell of hair gel and that pomade that he wears, his hair slicked back. And he gives you a little smirk, and it puts you on your heels. His eyes are almost completely black. His pupils are so large, it's like a predatory animal, and you get that sense like he's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes a step towards you and says, "Have any good dreams last night?" And then pushes past you and continues walking away.
Yeah, I think she's gonna keep following Roderick.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go outside, and there's a crowd of people, maybe 30 or 40 people, kind of milling around outside, going to their various classes. And to find him, I need you to give me a spot hidden roll. And then if you fail that, you can make a track roll.
Okay.
You can push that, or you can make the track roll.
Oh god, track is even worse.
Yeah, spot hidden's probably your best chance.
Yeah, spot hidden's easier. Oh my
Just
god,
was
really?
not meant to be. You lose track of him in the crowd, and you maybe, he's a big guy. You think it'd be hard to miss, but you don't see him at all.
Hmm. Well, seeing as how she's lost him, maybe what time of day is it now?
It's probably around noon, maybe, quarter to noon or so, about lunchtime.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Maybe then she'll kind of go to, if they have like a dining hall,
Yeah.
and kind of just like one, eat lunch, but two, maybe just like see if she can hear anything, like anyone talking about maybe where he would have gone.
Okay. Give me a listen roll.
Oh, it was right on the
Man.
20 almost.
You're having a day
What?
with these dice rolls. You want to
I
push
know.
that?
Sure.
So to push it, you would probably get a little closer to someone that's talking, and I failed that one too. So
It was
that
about to-
you kind of start to annoy people as you're maybe walking around looking for a place to sit and hovering over tables trying to catch their conversations. And a few people start to look, and one person finally says, "Excuse me, don't you know it's rude to listen in on conversations?"
Oh, I was merely doing research for a book.
And they look at you like, "Oh boy, weren't you one of those students that was drunk in Vermont?" And they kind of giggle to themselves. Aren't you a
Yeah,
little
that's
old to be drinking with other college-age students?
I mean, uh, people of various ages drink, but drunk in Vermont is actually the working title for my project. So,
Nice. Good
uh,
recovery.
yeah, if you do you have any fun stories of when you were drunk? I assume you've hit the bottle quite a bit. You seem the type.
Oh, no, I am rather studious. I don't have time for such frivolous things as drinking. And the two students kind of look at one another, and you can tell they're kind of putting you on. They're giving you a hard time. And the other one
Mhm.
says, "No, no, no. Look, if you need a place to sit, you're welcome to sit with us. We're just giving you a hard time."
Um, sure thing. Thank you. She will sit.
You sit, and they're picking your brain about Vermont. Clearly they've heard the gossip about what went on. They probably don't know any of the details other than a bunch of students went there, got drunk, and got hauled back to school. And they ask you kind of superfluous questions like, "So is it true that you guys hit someone with a truck? That's what we heard." They're like, "No, no, no. Someone wasn't hit with a truck. No, there was something going on there, with the policeman in town. Oh, was it you that was hitting on the policeman?" And all of their stories are patently false, but that's the
Mhm.
nature of gossip. It gets kind of builds on the truth until it just snowballs into something horrible. Do you set them straight, or do you lean into it and kind of talk it up like you were um, like a rebel or something?
Um, I feel like setting them straight would just make things worse. So yeah, I think she's gonna just embellish the hell out of everything.
Awesome. In that case, give me either a charm or a fast talk roll.
Ooh. Let's see. Oh, I actually give her. Oh no, I did not give her any charm. That was the wrong thing. I gave her a lot in climb, but none in. Oh no.
Oh, that's a fumble. So they just
Thank-
look at you like, "Oh boy, you're just digging a hole for yourself," and they kind of start laughing, and they tell you, we don't have time for this," and they get up from their table and walk away, and they look back and they're laughing at you. You've had kind of some triumphs today. This may be the lowest point of your day so far
Mhm.
as you sit at the table. And then someone comes up to your table and stands and clears their throat. "Are you Miss Elden?" they say.
Yes.
I've been asked to give you this note, and they hand you a piece of paper. And once they've given it to you, they walk away.
Well, might as well look at the note.
It says, as you open the note, it's written in kind of rough handwriting. It's not highly legible. It's almost like someone of poor education has scribbled this on there. And it says, "Meet me tonight at Hangman's Hill in the old wooded graveyard." And it's signed Block.
Oh. Well, nothing bad ever happened at Hangman's Hill, surely.
And let's change the scene from there. Let's go to Gerald. Gerald, what are you doing today? How's your morning gone? Are you going to classes, or are you doing other things?
Yeah, I think like Marianne, Gerald would just go about his day normally, but he's not paying attention at all. If he's got like a textbook, I think he's got like some handouts like in the book, just studying that, trying to correlate things. Pretty distracted.
Now, one of the things you and I had talked in between last session and this one about some of the things that you had discovered in Cobb's Corner. There was had something to do with meeting the school teacher, and then some information that Jebediah and Arthur had come across in a book. And maybe that's what you're thinking about instead of your course materials. Do you remember us talking about that, or what the findings may have been?
Yeah. Gerald has the school teacher's like homework from the children, which comes with a poem, and that would be what Gerald is studying. And then there was like you said, what Arthur and Jebediah found that poem relates, but Gerald was not. He didn't see that.
So I think
handout 3 is the homework, and handout 1 is the poem that you guys found.
Perfect. So this is, and I'll show this to everyone. So this is this is what you got from the school teacher. It was some sort of drawing of like a rain cloud or something with stuff coming off, and a bunch of, looks like kids, and then maybe some bigger people, maybe grown-ups, like maybe is that blood on the ground? You can't tell. And on the back there was a poem. It says, "Mother loves me, this I know, for the others tell me so. They have watched us for so long, where we are little, our brothers are strong. Yes, mother loves me, yes, mother loves me, yes, mother loves me, for the others tell me so." And this was from the children in Cobb's Corners, which we know there's something going on there. Now, the other, this was what Jebediah and Arthur had found, was written in the front of a book. Talked about mother. "O mother of life, begetter of the 1,000 young, devourer of my enemies, with my flesh I serve thee, with my soul I worship thee, that thy will be done here as it is in the spaces betwixt the stars. May my sacrifice be worthy, that I may sup on thy holy milk in the summer lands forever." You would kind of piece together a few things. Now, Gerald wasn't privy to this information, but as you go over the one from handout 3, from the school children, where do your thoughts go?
Yeah, I think he's so obsessed with this because it's so, like, it's deeply unnatural. Like, children are generally innocent. Like, they're cruel sometimes, but not demented.
Yeah.
And this seems very cult-like. I think Gerald's studying this from the viewpoint of some kind of cult, but obviously supernatural. There was the children not acting right, some ending up grotesquely injured. And he doesn't know much, but he's very intent on. He can't forget about it if he tried.
Yeah, give me an occult roll, please.
Oh, I must have upgraded that at some point.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this definitely sounds like not just some children's rhyme, but I think the word cult, I think you've struck upon something. And a cult would be any sort of group that has practices that may be out of the ordinary. There's some secrecy involved. things like that. And this does seem very, very cultish, and definitely not something that normal children would undertake or do. And looking at these papers, you recall having spoken with that teacher. She wanted to get out of Cobb's Corners, and you wonder if she's not in danger. It seems like the time she tried to correct the children, that she then later found them skinning a cat, or doing other horrific things with roadkill or things that they had found. Very nowadays we would put that kid in inpatient therapy, but very strange and grotesque things that those kids were doing. During these thoughts, you look over, and in your class is Terrence Laszlo, and you were kind of close on the expedition, on the field trip. At least he spoke with you a few times and seemed to take your side. And he, as you're thinking this, and you've got your book and the teacher's lecturing, you look over and Terrence is just staring at you. And there's a look of, he always kind of has a look of superiority or a look of disdain, kind of looks down his nose at others, but he's looking at you with a look of disgust. Like you are just a worm that he just wants to tear apart. And you can see his hands kind of rhythmically flexing, making fists and relaxing, and his mouth begins to move as though he's speaking, but you don't hear any sound. He's just moving his mouth as though forming silent words. What do you do, if anything?
Ooh. Yeah, I think Gerald almost would be confident enough to approach him. He would just walk up if it's not in the middle of class.
So it would be, but after class you could definitely approach
right,
him.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. He'd wait till after class to approach him and just come out with it as a, well, friend, you seem quite aggravated. Something I do?
Oh, it's nothing that you did, but something that you should have done. You shouldn't have left Cobb's Corners. I liked you, Gerald. You showed promise. But you're soft, you're weak, and your blood is not blue like mine. No. What you have is only because of your patron. You are no better than the rest of these maggots around us. It would be better that you had been drowned like a kitten in a sack than allowed to live.
Well, that's quite emphatic. That's strange. I too get the feeling I ought not have left Cobb's Corners. Certainly something's unfinished, but, well, goodness, it sounds like our relationship is.
Ooh. He smiles at you, and you see his teeth. Now, when you saw him in Cobb's Corners, he had very, very fine teeth. He could afford to go to the dentist, unlike most people, and could have his teeth cleaned, and everyone had crooked teeth during this time, but his teeth were relatively white and clean. But now, as you see them, his teeth are blackened around the edges, as though there is decay in them, and you've never noticed that before. And as he steps in close to you, you can smell his breath, and it smells like decay in his mouth. And as he speaks with you, he asks you, "How was your dream last night? I know what you were up to before you went to bed. Let me just assure you, that dream is the last you will ever have."
I think mentioning that dream unsettles Gerald enough to where, uncharacteristically, he doesn't really have much of a response. He's just choked up. He'd almost managed to not think about it, but ooh.
Terrence spits in your face. and then walks away.
Well, Gerald is glad to have his handkerchief as he wipes his face off. Goodness.
As you wipe it off, you look down at the spit, and it is cloudy and thick, and you can see there's something squirming deep within that opaque liquid. You can see it wriggling and writhing.
Yeah, Gerald immediately throws that handkerchief out.
Nice. Let's jump to Arthur. Arthur, you're going about your day. How does it go? Are you going to class, or are you going to your study spot?
I think, of course, I would go to my classes first. I want to maintain
your GPA?
My GPA. I'm a good student.
In your class, there's a few of the other students from the expedition are there. Jason Trent is there, along with Harry Higgins, and he's the young Irish chap that had the birthmark on his face. And Jason, you walk past his desk as you go to yours, and you can see that rather than the course book that you have for this class, he's got a book on George Washington's tactical strategies for the Revolutionary War. And you see Harry has a book, and it's a book on medicine, on surgery, and it's in German.
Do I know if he had any interest in medicine before?
No, in fact, his main interest was botany. He was interested in
Right.
plants and earth science, but now he's reading a German text. Judging by the illustrations, must be on the surgical approach to the musculature and vasculature of the human neck and face.
I think I'll go to Jason first. And I guess I'll just ask him, like, when he got so interested in U.S. history.
Oh well, it's fascinating. You know, it's a time and an age that's very near and dear to me. Many of my most fondest acquaintances, I mean my people that I grew up idolizing were from this period. Men like Cornwallis and some of the others, Burgoyne, and just fantastic soldiery, all of them. And if only King George had done things right, why we might all be studying over at Oxford or Cambridge rather than here in Arkham.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it would have been like in that time?
Oh, well, I can tell you that the winters were very long and cold, according to the writings of these books, and that just fascinating the advances that we've made in that time. Why, automobiles, they never would have even believed such a thing were possible. And the things that those Wright brothers have done, and aeroplanes flying through the sky like birds, why, I've seen a hot air balloon before, but that was in Paris, and to imagine something flying powered on its own is just amazing to me.
When did you go to Paris to see this?
Long time ago. I was practically a different person then.
Right. Well, it was nice talking to you, Jason.
Yes, it was, Arnold. Quite nice indeed.
Okay.
Excuse me, Arthur. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Jason.
Yes. So, look, you and I, we're friendly, right?
Well, Oh, yes.
And you, well, judging by the size of you, you like to eat, right? Perhaps you and I can enjoy a meal sometime. Perhaps tomorrow evening we can sup together.
Well, that would be very nice, Jason. I'd be happy to.
Yes, 8:30. Let's meet for tea and cakes after supper, and let's meet over at the library. Why don't we?
Sounds great, Jason.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I'll bring the tea and the cakes. You bring your sense of curiosity.
Okay.
All right. Well then, pip pip and all, and enjoy your studies. If you'll excuse me, I must get back to mine. And he gets back to his book. Give me a roll here, Arthur. This is going to be an anthropology roll. Some of his mannerisms, some of his language patterns strike you as very un-American. Almost as though someone from England might speak, in his choice of words and just the way he was talking about King George. And he was mentioning British generals, Burgoyne and Cornwallis. And it's just very, very strange. Now, there are Anglophiles, people that have a passion for all things British. But you've not known Jason to be anything of that sort. He was more into the occult, and that was your shared interest, but now he seems to have no interest in that at all. But at least he's inviting you out for a spot of tea, which, you're not one to turn down cakes or tea or
Right.
or a friend when you can find one. And as you sit in your lecture, give me a listen roll. Over the drone of the lecture, you hear a few voices speaking quietly behind you, and one of those is a deep voice that is accented with a bit of a German accent. It says, "Robert, we are still on to meet at Harold's this evening, yes?" And you hear Jason say, "Yes, Gustav, yes."
Okay.
Do you do anything or respond or just listen?
I'm just listening in.
You hear them talk again about the plans, and then you hear them say, "Tomorrow night is D-Day, yes?" And you hear Jason reply, "Yes, tomorrow night. 10:30, if I'm not mistaken." And the German voice says, "Yeah, 10:30. Everyone should be out by then." Have any response or reply to that?
No. I'm just sitting there listening.
Let's go to Julian. So Julian, you've had a bit of a rough day. You wake up, your head is pounding a little bit. You've had this terrible dream. Do you go to your classes, or how do you spend your day?
Yeah, I guess I'll have to go to my classes. I don't want to get expelled.
Absolutely.
Considering my bad records already.
Now, you have a class that's with Professor Learmont, or Learmonth over here. And it's a class on soil, one of the core geology classes. And as the professor is talking, there's a few a few things that kind of catch your interest. He mentions the Pasqualium, the find, and he says that it is apparently from a meteor that struck in Vermont, and says where it was a sample had been found in a crater. And he describes the geography, and this is nowhere near where you were. In fact, this is something that I think we covered last time. Marian had found some letters from Professor Learmonth to Federated Oil and Chemical, basically saying, we think this Pasqualium is not from Earth, it's meteoric in origin, it was found in a crater, far away from Cobb's Corners, that they had found another piece, and none of this to be true. Now, you had found a piece of a meteor, but it was not Pasqualium. And as he's talking about this find, do you raise any objections?
Yeah, I basically told them this is totally not what I found. I was on the expedition, and we found a rock that was from a frozen place that I tried to track down, but didn't seem to make heads or tails with it, but definitely wasn't called Pasqualium. And we found no Pasqualium, basically, in the area.
Give me a roll for that. This is going to be an art. Sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Natural world roll. You make sense with what you're saying, and you're describing your own eyewitness account of what happened. And Professor Learmonth listens intently and gives you the time to speak. And then he says, very interesting, Mr. Mercer, but is it not true that you used that time to drink yourself into a stupor? Is it not true that you wasted the college's time and used your time to drink with other students?
And then I explained to him that the only person that actually drank it mostly was what's that guy's name?
Robert Blaine.
Robert Blaine. Yeah, Mr. Blaine. Wasn't us that was drinking. He had some PTSD from the last expedition where his girlfriend got taken.
Yeah, the Daphne Divine that seemed to be his girlfriend had gone missing during that expedition, and he seemed to have some PTSD from that, as you found in his letters in his room in the previous session. He kind of smiles and says, well, that's exactly what I would expect a guilty party to say, is to deflect it onto someone else who, of course, is not here to defend themselves. But you raise a good point about, you say this is not where this is found, but yet I have other prized students telling me that this is indeed where it was found. And he turns and looks to your right, which is to his left, and he says, is that not true, Miss Thurber? And Clarissa Thurber is slouching in her chair. She sits up. Yes, that's true, Professor. We found it just as you described.
And can I ask, Callisto, some details about what she found and where she found it? Sort of basically try to see if there's any gaps in her statements on finding this Pasqualium in that location.
Yeah, so she says, well, we found it at Red Rock Mountain, 5 miles due south of Brattleboro. It wasn't in Cobb's Corner, as you suggest. You don't even know where we were. I gave that sample myself to Professor Learmonth, and it was determined that that was Pasqualium, indeed. So I don't know what you're talking about, Julian.
So when did you actually go to this Red Rock Mountain? When did this happen?
I think it was when you and Robert were off drinking. Did you not go into the woods with him and find his stash of alcohol?
When we went to the woods, the car, according to Marian, was disabled.
Was the car disabled or was the driver disabled?
the car.
Well, I'm afraid we've just got a he said, she was right situation going on here, Professor. I don't know what to tell you other than the truth, which is that we found that ore at the Red Rock Mountains near Brattleboro. Not in Cobb's
If you check the time, that day was extremely heavy and rain. The weather was not good for any geological survey. And in fact, we got caught in a ravine avalanche situation.
Give me a fast talk roll.
Huh? What roll?
Fast talk.
Fast talk. Okay. Why fast talk? Oh my god.
Do you spend the
How many
14
luck
luck, or do you want to push it?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, I'll spend the 14 luck.
Nice. Ooh. As you bring up this bit of information, you see Clarissa's eye begin to twitch. And you know that you've got her. That this is a detail that was likely omitted in her reports. And she stammers, Professor, you have to believe me. And he looks at her and says, well, wherever it was found, this is what Pasqualium is. It's extraterrestrial in nature. It's not of Earth creation, but regardless of what location it was found in. And Clarissa shoots you a withering glare, Julian. After class, she approaches you and says, look, buddy, I don't know where you get off, but don't you ever embarrass me in class like that again. I have friends, and we'll see to it that your life is a living hell.
I'm gonna look directly into Clarissa and be like, friends, I'm curious, who are your friends?
Why, those of us on the expedition that chose to use our time wisely rather than carousing with Robert and the others. I blame that Professor Baldwin that let you get away with that.
Okay. Julian will be a little bit more aggressive now and just be like, really? Well, I hope your friends will come after me after I do this, and just gave her a punch in the stomach.
Ooh.
See if there's any reaction.
Nice. All right, give me a fighting brawl roll. Let's see.
Definitely not. I'm gonna punch Y.
She is going to fight back. Her brawl is a 40%.
Not bad. She's better than me.
Let me roll. Which you wouldn't think she would be this skilled in brawling. Oh, she missed.
She failed.
Yeah, so she doesn't hold back. She swings at you as well. And you're almost taken aback. You didn't think that she would be that forward to try and hit you. You were thinking perhaps you could intimidate her. But she hisses at you as she swings and misses and says, tomorrow night, that'll be the end of you, and the world will be a better place.
Why don't you give me a front row seat? Where exactly is this place that you're gonna, do your little thing to end the world?
Oh, you'll be invited. Don't you worry. You'll come kicking and screaming, I'm sure.
I'm like, you and your friends gonna do this?
I have other friends as well. Friends that are unknown to you. And one of us doesn't miss when they swing.
Can I talk about like passing through the doors and shit? About that dream that I had?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go tell her like, oh, we all passed through the door. like,
Ooh.
so you are.
When you say that, she stiffens up and says, "The door has already been opened. And believe me, you are one step inside already. That door is going to shut on you very soon, and you'll wish you could claw your way back."
Right. You got a name for this thing? Are you gonna call us?
If you really want to know, why don't you ask Terrence? He'll fill you in.
That's nice of you. Is Terrace around?
Oh, he'll be around. He'll find you if you don't find him first. You're on his radar. And you've never heard the term radar before. This is before radar was a thing. Radar became a thing in the 40s. So this is before you'd ever heard the term radar. But she mentions some strange thing, radar.
I'm like, I'll be like, what's a radar? What are you talking about?
It's like having extra senses to know where things are at all times and when they approach and what vectors and speeds and the method of delivery. And it's a very strange phrase that she uses, almost like a weapon.
I guess I'll let her go, and then do I see on her like any clues where she's been, like mud or tree branches or something?
Give me a spot hidden roll. No mud or tree branches, but as she's walking away, you see one of the other students, in fact it's Harry Higgins, he walks up to her and says, "Tonight, Harold's, 7:30. And she nods and they walk away.
I'm gonna find, I guess it's time for Julian to find his crew, find Marian and Gerald and stuff.
So it's about lunchtime, and you guys all will end up probably meeting up at some point there on campus, but this is a good time to take our break. So why don't we take a short 10-minute break. When we get back, you guys can all convene and decide your course of action. So I will see you all in about 10 minutes.
Monday. I locate them there, but it doesn't make much sense to me. I think that the DM might be out to get me. A hero in armor and truth, bards tell my legacy. The flame of my torch illuminates the enemy. I win in a battle, you win foes asunder. Deeper I venture, the deeper I wonder. The bodies pile up before me, the corpses I plunder. The deeper I venture, the deeper I wonder. Crafted from numbers on living paper. I skip from the mundane to immutable paper. And while in real life, my fate is unspoken. Hero roll of the dice in my fate is unspoken. I drink my last potion. I charge through the open gate. The flame of the dragon tried to seal my awful fate. With a handful of dice, 5 times I roll 20. The dragon goes down, the DM will bloody. I leave with the princess, a satchel chock full of gold. We head to the tavern, where my mighty tale unfolds. Crafted from numbers on living paper. I skip from the mundane to enable caper. While in real life, my fate is unspoken. Hero roll of the dice in my fate is unspoken. The king he honored me with the mighty crossbow. It's blessed by the elves, he said. I thank him and I go. The life of a hero, struggling to stay alive. It's worth all the hardship though, 'cause now I'm a level 5. Level 5.
All right, I am back. Luke, are you here?
Yep. Hello.
Excellent. Hello, hello. Once everyone gets back, we'll go ahead and jump back in. Looks like Cross
back.
unmuted. Excellent. Cross is with us. There's Alex. Just waiting on Henrik. Once he gets here, we'll be ready. So did you guys like the individual dream sessions?
Oh, yeah, you narrated that so well. It was intense.
Yeah,
It was really cool.
I spent a good couple hours kind of working that up, thinking like, how can I make this like specific to each person, but make it hit hard? And it's, I think that actually ended really well. I know it stinks when you get your 5 minutes, then you got to sit through everyone else's 5 minutes, but everyone I think did great with that. Henrik, are you back with us yet? We'll give Henrik a moment. Oh, Henrik unmuted.
Yes, I'm back.
You're here? Okay, let's jump back into the game. Now, where we left off, everyone's going to kind of meet up together. Let's start with the professor. You're not one of the students, so maybe you don't go to like the cafeteria on campus, or perhaps you do. I'll let you decide. When you get there, or when it's time for your lunch, do you spend it at the cafeteria seeking out the other students, the rest of the party?
No, I think I will say, Arthur, dear boy, why don't you join me for lunch in my office? And that friend of yours, Gerald, he was part of our folklore team. Why don't you go find him and see if he wouldn't mind sharing lunch with us?
Sure, Professor.
Well, Arthur, you're able to find Gerald rather easily. You know kind of where he likes to go during the lunch time. And Gerald, is that in the cafeteria, or do you, if it's a nice day like it is today, do you take your lunch outside?
I think Gerald probably is the type to go outside, but he's also thrilled to be invited to something.
Yeah, so Arthur, as you invite Gerald, you find him outside on maybe a bench having his lunch. You invite him over to the professor's. And is this an official thing, or is this more of a casual thing? What was your impression of that, Arthur?
Well,
Like, is he being summoned to Jebediah's office?
I think I would say something like, hey Gerald, me and the professor, we were all part of the folklore team down in Cobb's Corners, and the professor wants to talk to us in his office during lunch.
Oh, a little debrief, lovely.
The three of you meet up in the office, and Jebediah, what do you want to discuss?
Oh, well, yes, it's good to see you both again, given the events of what happened. I know it may have been difficult for you to get reacclimated, but I hope you're doing well. I suppose I wanted to see how you've been holding up, make sure you're all right.
Well, actually, I've had some disturbing things occur being back here.
Well, yes, certainly, Arthur. You and me, we've done a bit of research. How have you been feeling since then? Have you been doing well then? Or what strange things are you referencing?
Well, actually, I had a dream the other night, and in this dream there was a sigil, and when I woke up it was there too in my notebook, and I felt it carved on my forehead, but it wasn't there. And also there was a name that I remembered of some being. I don't know what it was, but I remember the name.
Yes, a dream. Say, were there any voices in your dream, Arthur?
There were voices, yeah. A strange voice of something I didn't recognize.
Well, what did they say to you, Arthur?
Well, they they talked to me about giving me the name, and that I took a name of something.
Well, that's very fascinating. You see, I myself had a strange dream recently. How about yourself, Gerald? Any strange dreams of late, or weird happenings?
Well, I'm glad to hear about that, Arthur. Not necessarily the dream, but it seems like we've all been having it, or I had something similar, a voice that knew quite a bit about me, and, well, truthfully, I should tell you about something, and I think Gerald, I don't particularly think I'm capable of recapping all, but he would want to tell them about what happened with the house and the crazy events of last night.
Yeah, and finding Robert Blaine dead, and the the dark form moving through the house that you suspect may have killed him. Do you believe that was Terrence Laszlo? Do you share that information?
Yeah, skeptically. He'd say, I don't know if it appeared to be Terrence. At this point, I don't believe we could trust what we're seeing all the time, but yes, it was certainly him.
That's another thing I wanted to ask. Have either of you noticed any of your fellow students that were on the expedition acting somewhat strangely? Not themselves, you might say.
It goes beyond that. It's quite radical, the changes in some. In fact, my life was threatened today by one I might have called a tentative friend.
Very interesting. I suppose, Gerald, I should fill you in on what Arthur and I found. We've been doing some research in the restricted section of the library, and we believe this may be linked to some sort of cult. I can get you access to the book. We might research it together, but perhaps you'd like to look over my notes. And they sort of detail what we've discovered, and I will share those with him that he might look over them and see sort of what Arthur and I have gone over.
Yeah, and you share handout 1, which has that drawing of strange trees with mouths in them, and someone looks like maybe being burned alive in a forest, and the mentions of the mother of life, begetter of 1,000 young. And Gerald, when you see this is when things might start to click with you and what you have in handout 3, taken from that school teacher.
Yeah. I think Gerald probably goes almost pale, and he drops the book on the desk and looks through his vest jacket until he finds the folded up school paper. He throws that down. He says, well, this doesn't sound lovely, but there's a clear relation. Professor Arthur, you're right about some cult, but like none I've ever heard of.
Jebediah, give me an occult roll. You suspect correctly that these two things might be linked, that there is a distinct link between this mention of the mother in both of these things, one from the Children of Cobb's Corner and one from this book taken from the restricted section. And the name that Arthur has, if you spend time in that book, you find mention of that name. And the name is Shub-Niggurath. And Shub-Niggurath is described as the black goat of the woods, the mother of 1,000 young, a great cosmic entity that gives her milk to her followers, and they pay her back in blood.
Well, can I find any reference to the Yuggoth as well?
Give me, that's going to be a difficult roll. Give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
Could I use library use?
If the three of you go to the library, then yes. But if you're just here in the office looking through this book that you have borrowed from Professor Armitage, no. So if you want to spend your lunch at the library, then yes.
Well, these findings are rather interesting. What say the three of us go to the library and do some further research? I seem to have lost my appetite. Arthur, you may have my extra pudding cup.
Ooh. Thank you, Professor.
This day's turning better, Arthur. I can see Professor raise his hand to the library, and then there's like Scooby-Doo music, and you appear suddenly at the library. Now give me that library use roll, Professor. In fact, all three of you give me a library use roll as you go off in your different directions.
Whoa, well done.
Nice.
Arthur, you understand the Dewey Decimal System, and you know its intricacies and inner workings. Gerald, do you push your library use roll?
I think he almost, lately he almost feels quite uncomfortable in libraries. I think he wouldn't push it.
Okay, especially after your dream about that library
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
those
exactly.
books. Arthur, you find reference in a tome, and you have to cross-reference other books. And with you and the professor working together, having achieved a hard and an extreme success, you're able to piece together through multiple books, and it takes you actually a few hours. And by the time you realize how long it's been, Arthur, you've missed your next class. And Jebediah, you've actually missed your next lecture. But you find a few other bits of information. And what you find is reference to the fungi from Yuggoth, some sort of fungoid entity believed to be not of this earth, but from Yuggoth. And Yuggoth seems to be referenced as the ninth planet from the sun. Now, in the 1930, it was suspected that Pluto was out there, but it had not yet been discovered. I think that was in 1931 when Percival Lowell discovered Pluto. And so actually when H.P. Lovecraft wrote the story that this is based on, or wrote about the fungi from Yuggoth, that Pluto had still not yet been discovered. And so a lot of people are like, aha, he knew. But anyway, Yuggoth is the ninth planet from our sun, and these fungi are supposedly rumored to be creatures that traverse and travel the stars and can visit Earth. Now, Arthur, you find a name, Migo. And Migo have been written about in various cultures of the world. Most commonly, the Yeti of the Himalayas, the abominable snowman, is said to be Migo. But there is descriptions in here, and it's more like some sort of strange creature that's a cross between mineral, plant, and fungus that is sentient and can communicate and travel. There are no pictures, there's no drawings, no descriptions of these things. Most of these accounts are taken from dreams or from the rants and ravings of lunatics and drunkards and those out in the desert wastes when they come back and talk about encounters that they had with strange beings. But with that extreme success, Arthur, you do find reference to Shub-Niggurath, the goat of the woods, the mother of 1,000 young, that she is worshipped by strange and secretive cults here on Earth, but it is rumored that her followers are not only those of Earth, but those of other worlds. And you piece together that it's not unlikely that these strange Migo might worship Shub-Niggurath as well.
Gerald, if you care to take a look at these findings, does this match anything of that cult that you say that you may have found evidence of in Cobb's Corners?
Yeah, and I guess Gerald's probably thinking particularly of that school teacher and her children.
Yeah, there was some sort of strange black cloud seem to be hovering over. That could be, is that something not of this earth? And that the mother seems to love the children. And who else might be involved in this cult? You have no idea. From the handout that the professor have, it talks about the begetter of 1,000 young, that that thy will be done here as it is in the spaces betwixt the stars, and that perhaps Shub-Niggurath is more broadly worshipped than just here on Earth. But perhaps there is a connection between this cosmic entity and these creatures from Yuggoth. Now, the more you piece this together, the stranger and the more ludicrous it begins to sound. But you have seen and experienced strange things that would be described as ludicrous to others, that they might think there is no way that actually happened. This must be the fevered rantings of someone mentally ill. But you are all very well aware of what happened to you, and perhaps you begin to believe. As you put this together, I need each of you to give me a sanity roll. You will each lose 1 point of sanity, but you are also each going to gain a point of Cthulhu Mythos. And I'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Now, Arthur, as the youngest and most impressionable of the group, what do you think of all this? Does this sound logical?
Definitely not. It sounds, it's incredibly hard to believe, but, with everything that we've experienced, I think Arthur would believe it.
Now, realizing the hour that you've spent several hours in the library putting this together, what do you do with this information? What would your next step be, Arthur? What do you think? Is there anything that you could do with this information?
Well, I think Jason and what was his name? The other kid that was...
Oh, Harry Higgins?
Yeah.
The one that sounded
Jason
German?
and Harry, yeah. They were talking about something that they called D-Day that I think might have something to do with this cult.
Now, Jebediah, as a member of the military, you would know that D-Day references any great planning event, and that the D-Day is the day that the operation is set to go down. And Arthur, you mentioned that D-Day is tomorrow?
Yeah, they mentioned that it was tomorrow night.
This D-Day, you say, Arthur. Gerald, do you know anything about this? You mentioned that one of the students was threatening you. Did he mention anything about a D-Day?
Oh, no, nothing specific, but he did say that something would happen tonight.
And Arthur, you say this D-Day was set for tonight?
I remember it being tomorrow night, but I suppose something could be happening tonight.
Jebediah, did you tell the others about your conversations with Professor Wilmarth and what he said the Migo were capable of?
I think now that we've made some of these discoveries, I will begin to share some of this information about the fact that they may be able to remove someone's brain and transport them across the stars.
That the brains would be immortal, that perhaps they can even switch consciousness from one body to another, and that maybe your fellow classmates are not your fellow classmates any longer. Let's jump over to Marian and Julian. Did the two of you meet up for lunch in the cafeteria?
Yeah.
And maybe Marian, while you and Julian meet and you kind of talk about your encounters today, many of which were unpleasant and violent in the case of Julian, Gerald said there was something going on tonight, but Jebediah and Arthur didn't seem to know. Do you guys know that there's something going on tonight?
Yeah, at Harold's house.
Yes, something at Harold's house. People were going to meet there. In fact, I think, Arthur, didn't you hear Jason, Trent, and Gustav talk about?
Yeah, they said they were going to meet with someone called Harold.
Yeah, probably Professor Harold, who is this dude right here, Roger Harold. He's the one that came and got you out of jail and sent you back home at Cobb's Corners. Julian and Marian, as you are talking about some sort of meeting taking place tonight at Professor Harold's house, Marian, do you share your information from Roderick that he wants to meet you tonight as well?
Yeah.
And
I'll be like, ooh, is this going to be a date thing, you think? What is this?
No. This is a let's talk about all the strange things happening thing.
All right.
What did the
this is
two
not
of you
even-
propose to do? Do you want to do anything before the meeting at Harold's? Do you go and eavesdrop, or do you try and break in? Or?
I'm going to suggest we're going to raid the university lab for some explosive compounds and then make some pipe bombs
Oh
in
boy.
case we need them to, blow them up.
I don't know about blowing them up. Oh my gosh.
Now, Marian, you know that you are all on basically academic probation, and if you're
Yeah.
caught stealing compounds, that could definitely jeopardize your enrollment at the school. However, he does make a good point that maybe it would be wise to be armed.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think Marion will propose to split the difference and maybe, have some weapons on hand in case things get dicey, but yeah, I don't know if we want to blow people up at this juncture.
But you don't rule
Maybe-
it out permanently.
Yeah, a couple, give it a little while.
And Julian's going to make a sad face and then be like, that's a shame.
You can always go and do it yourself.
Well, I suppose a gas canister will do. I was thinking maybe we could use LP. Do they have LPG bottles back then? What do they use to store gas?
Yeah, so it'd probably be in just like a metal gas can, they would call it. Do you mean like
They have a gas can?
like propane or like gasoline?
Yeah, like propane. I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
they used to store like methane and ethanol and stuff.
Yep.
These
They would
canisters.
have pressurized canisters, and they would for
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
have them in the chemistry department.
I'm sure we can just set them on fire with these things. So I would probably just grab a go get a can. I don't know.
In fact,
get it.
Give me a luck roll.
All right. My luck is not great, but why not?
Oh, your luck is really low. You recall seeing canisters of pressurized gas in the chemistry department, but you know that they are under lock and key. They're in a cabinet where they keep all of the other reagents, and it's padlocked, and you'd need to break in there if you want to steal anything out of there.
Okay, I'll just roll locksmith. I have a 1 in locksmith. All right.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Okay, yeah, might as well try. A lot. Nah.
No. You fidget with the lock, and you're kind of picking it. Give me a stealth roll as you're in there doing this to see if you draw any attention.
Hilarious. Yeah. I can't even find it.
Let's see. It's should be below spot hidden. You've got a 21 in
yeah.
stealth.
There we go. Nope.
Ooh. Do you want to push that?
Yeah, might as well. I don't want to be caught stealing gas.
You haven't stolen it yet. Right now, you're just trying to break the lock.
Break in.
Exactly. Trying to break the law. Where? How come I can't see the...
If you click on the 49, does it give you the option to push?
Yes, it does.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, it's better,
Nothing
but
better.
not an improvement. So
Slightly.
with a failed push roll for stealth, as you are jiggling the lock and probably putting your penknife in there, one of the teaching assistants comes around the corner and sees you. Hey, what are you doing?
I was being told to carry some gas for the experiment we're doing the geological department.
Give me a fast talk roll as you try and bluff your way out of this.
Oh man, my measly 5. This is not days, not going well. All right, let's go.
Oh,
17.
Man, close. Do you spend 12 of your 17 luck?
No, I'll push it. I'll push it. I'll just go. Come on.
Come on. Oh.
Almost.
They say, do you have a requisition form? Because you can't get this without a requisition form. And you have to come to one of us to unlock it. You don't simply go and take it yourself.
That's a shame. I thought students have access to these kind of things.
No. We keep these under lock and key for a purpose. Now, go get the requisition form from your teacher, and then we'll let you have access to it.
Okay. Damn forms. Stupid
There's
university
always
bureaucracy.
Yep. So, foiled in your attempt to obtain flammable gas, you walk away dejected thinking, well, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn you, Marian. If only you were there to help me.
Do you know what time the meeting was at Professor Harold's? I think it was at 7:30.
Yeah, I do, because they were talking about it with Clarissa. Is it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Is there? Yeah, Clarissa and Terrence, I think. Is there anything else that you want to do before we can just fast forward to later that evening? And do you go and get the others, or is it just the two of you?
Yeah, we get Gerald, right? Is Gerald's the only loner out here, because Arthur and the professor is already going to the party or something.
No, they weren't going to the party. I think Arthur had just overheard Harry Higgins talking to Jason Trent about it. So none of you were invited. But do you want to get the gang all together?
Yeah, I'll go get the gang. See if they want to come.
That would make sense. What time did Roderick leave a time on his note? I also want to make sure we don't miss that meeting.
His note said, let me look. 10:45.
Oh, okay.
And it said come alone.
Got it.
So you'd have time to do both.
Okay, cool.
Does everyone want to go to Professor Harold's house? Does anyone object? What's your plan? Do you want to sneak around the house and try and eavesdrop or see what's going on, or do you want to try and break in?
I feel like eavesdropping, probably, because they would know we're not invited, right?
Yeah. Well, his house it's off campus. It's about a 30-minute drive, and you could take buses. There's public transportation that would take you out there, or you could even bus to a certain part of the town of Arkham, and then walk there if you had to. So getting there is not really a problem, but it's dark at this point. It's probably about 7 p.m., so about 30 minutes before that appointment time when you reach his neighborhood. And looking up his address, you find his home. And it's a small home. It's probably got a basement and a top floor. The basement, you can see there's a coal chute on the side, a little glass window that they could lift up and dump coal down there into the basement where the furnace was, and to handle that. There's a front door. You see a few windows along the side, and then there is a back door as well. There's a lot of trees in his yard. There's one that is much taller than the house. It's about 10 feet, maybe 3 meters away from the house, and there are quite a few shrubs around his yard. Some of them are cut into topiary, like a small, a bird or animals, and one of them looks like a small dog, like a retriever. It's pointing as though it is at attention, pointing out a bird that perhaps the hunter has shot. When you first arrive, there is a light on in the house, just a single light, and it seems to be in the dining room. What do you do?
Does it look like anyone's moving anywhere?
Yeah, give me a spot hidden roll.
Oh.
Well, from here you can't tell, but if you get closer, you might be able to actually peek into a window if you want to push that. Julian, so Marian, if you want to push that, you can. Julian, you can see through the window. You got a pretty good view looking into the kitchen. And Marian, whew. So Julian, you're looking into the kitchen. Marian, you go around, kind of peer into the dining room, and you're in kind of a darkened corner of the yard, but you do see a figure there, and it is Professor Harold, and he's pacing around his dining room, kind of walking around the table, looking down. It looks like he's maybe checking to make sure everything is where it should be. Maybe you can't tell from here. Is it a place setting? Is it a tea service? Is it alcohol? You can't tell. All you see is kind of him from his middle of his chest and up as he's pacing around his table. Now, Julian, where you are kind of looking into the kitchen, it's dark in the kitchen, but you can see through to the dining room, and you can see him as well. And you can see on the table from your vantage, you can see a couple of metal cans, and these are gasoline cans, or more precisely kerosene cans, like you might fill lamps with. When one door closes, another opens.
Of course. The local arsonist is at play.
Yep. Now, what about Gerald, Arthur, and Jebediah? If you're with everyone, what are you doing? Or are you just standing there in the shadows, watching and waiting? What about Arthur? What are you doing?
I think I would maybe. I don't want to get like too close to the house before I see anyone there. So I think I would be like a few blocks away, watching to see what happens.
So maybe you're watching to see if others approach the house? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a spot hidden roll. And are you hiding or are you just standing out on the sidewalk?
I think Arthur would be trying to hide.
Give me a stealth roll first.
No. No.
You're pretending to be a topiary in the garden, like Cupid or something. Do you want to push that? The first place you look to hide is a bramble bush, and as you start to kind of bury your bulk into there, you feel the branches scratching up against you and snagging on your beloved sweater vest.
Oh. I mean, I'm not too worried about it, but I think I would just find like a dark place somewhere
Perfect.
concealed by
That
the
you
shadows.
think you're hidden in, but
Right.
whether or not you actually are remains to be seen.
Yeah.
What about Jebediah? What are you doing, sir?
Well, yes, would Jebediah have been able to perhaps drive his automobile there and park it on the street?
Yes, absolutely. How close to his house do you get, to park your car?
Well, I think perhaps the next house over I'll simply park on the side of the street.
Okay. And do you remain in your car, or what do you do?
Yes, I think I'll remain in there, and if I get the chance, if I see Arthur, perhaps I'll even motion for Arthur to come and join me.
Now, are you being stealthy, or just trying to look relaxed like you belong there?
I think that I'm simply trying to be relaxed and observe what's happening.
Are you smoking?
Sure, I'll put some tobacco in my pipe and smoke a little bit.
Gerald, what are you doing?
Yeah, quite hesitant to do more breaking and entering. Gerald's probably just trying to like hang back in the shadows. Yeah.
Give me a stealth roll if you're attempting to be stealthy.
Yeah, that's quite fitting. I don't think he's very good at being inconspicuous. No.
No, not at all. Do you want to push that, or do you just do your best?
Yeah, I think he would just do his best, anxiously.
So let's say Arthur is maybe south of the house, maybe a couple of houses, or maybe even a block. And Jebediah, you are just slightly north of the house, and maybe Gerald, you're even more northerly on that road that runs north to south from there. So you kind of have covered the approach, whether they come from the north or the south. East and west lining the street would be homes. And then we've got Julian and Marian up near the house. Arthur, give me a luck roll.
Okay.
While you're watching and waiting, there's a combination of boredom as well as nervousness. What is a nervous habit that Arthur has?
I think it's sweating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you are sweating profusely out here, and it's mid-September. It's a little chilly, and you're getting cold. And as you're getting cold, you are wiping the sweat, and you're nervous, and your hands are clammy, and you're thinking about how cold you are, and you're rubbing your shoulders, and you fail to see the people approaching. And you hear a voice say, "Arthur,
Oh no.
what are you doing out here?" And you turn, and it's Jason Trent, and he is with Harry Higgins.
Oh, I was just getting some fresh air outside.
Oh. Do you live around here? Why are you so far from campus?
Oh, just taking a stroll, and I guess I lost my track of time and direction, you know. What are you doing here?
Well, Harry and I have, we have a meeting. Look, Arthur, you and I are friends, yes?
Sure we are.
Then take what I'm about to say very seriously. Go home, Arthur. Start walking home now, and don't stop until you get there.
Why do you say that?
And Harry says, Come on, this is not the time. It is time to go. Let this one stay if he wishes.
Jason, what's gonna happen? Why do you want me to leave?
Nothing's gonna happen because you're gonna walk home right now.
And what would happen if I didn't walk home?
You'll probably never go home again. So just go home, Arthur.
Okay, Jason. And I'll start walking north to my companions.
So that's the direction they're headed. And they take a few steps and you're walking with them and they say, Hey, no. Go the long way if that's the way you're going home. You don't want to go up that street.
I guess I'll hang back and wait for them to pass, and then I'll walk behind them.
Jason takes a few steps, then he looks back at you and says, Any favors that I might have owed you have been paid in full. So understand that whatever you choose to do from this point on, I wash my hands of it. And then he turns and walks with Harry to the north towards Professor Harold's house.
Okay.
What do you do, Arthur?
I'm gonna find Professor Baldwin's car.
Give me a sanity roll, Arthur. You don't lose any sanity. As you're standing out there, you hear a voice, and it says, Arthur, what are we going to do? And you look over, and there's Rufus.
Well,
and Rufus is, for those that have forgotten, is your imaginary friend.
Right. I don't know, Rufus, but something bad is obviously gonna happen tonight, and I have to tell the professor and my friends so no one gets hurt.
Well, don't you think they're grown-ups? They can do it on their own. They'll be okay. Maybe Jason will warn them too.
I don't know, Rufus. I mean, they're really the only friends that I've had in a long time, besides you, of course. And I don't want anything to happen to them.
Well, it's time to pull up our boots, Arthur. Find that courage that you've been lacking, and let's go and do it.
Thanks, Rufus. I'm glad you're here with me.
And you turn to look at Rufus, and Rufus is gone.
Okay.
So rather than heading south, as Jason Trent begged you to do, you wait until he walks up the street, and then you begin to head that way as well.
Yes.
Professor Jebediah, you can see a few figures approaching from the south, 2 of them, and you can't quite tell who it is from here. It is Jason and Harry, but something else catches your eye, and that is in your mirrors that see behind you. You see another group approaching, and this is Clarissa, William, Roderick, Terrence, and Lewis, the rest of the group, and they're coming from the north down towards you. Do you do anything or just watch and observe as they approach?
I might use the little hand crank and roll up my window and lock the doors.
Gerald, give me a spot hidden roll. Do you want to push that?
Yeah, I think trying to feel useful, he might take some risks.
See if you're being vigilant.
Oh, very consistent.
Yeah. You hear the footsteps before they're almost upon you. Now you think you're hidden in kind of a dark recess, but you can see Clarissa, William, Roderick, Terrence, and Lewis rapidly approaching your position, and you begin to wonder exactly how well you've concealed yourself. Do you do anything before they approach?
Yeah, probably try to reconnect with the others. Not in the house, maybe the professor.
So his car is not far away. Do you dart out and go to that car and try and let yourself in? You could get there before these others are upon you.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but at this point, he doesn't think they're here for anything pleasant.
Give me a luck roll, please.
Ooh, okay.
So you get there before the professor has had time to lock his doors. Probably as he's reaching over to lock the door that you're going to go in, you pull on the handle, the door opens, and you quickly slip yourself in.
Excuse me, well, there's a couple of the strange ones coming after me.
Oh yes, Gerald. I saw some headed down the street this way. I figured best to take a precaution. If you don't mind locking those doors.
Oh, please.
Now, do you stay parked there near Professor Harold's house, or Jebediah, do you drive on before these others that are approaching you rapidly from the north before they reach you?
Yes, I think I'll start the car and drive down the street, perhaps make a U-turn and come back, and once they would have had sufficient time to reach their destination.
Give me a drive auto roll.
It looks like my skills are still on the edit screen. I can't click on it.
Sorry, click on the... I'll get it. The little padlock up at the top. Now try that again. Oh, I think you got it. Yes, you did. Wow. So you managed to get the car started. There's a big danger with these early model cars. That's flooding the carburetor, giving it too much gas, and then you have to wait for it to evaporate, which may mean that you're not able to get there. So there was a choke. You would adjust the choke, how much gas and air mixture goes into the carburetor. But you managed to do it correctly, and rather than sitting there trying to start the car while they reach you, you managed to get the car started and pull away. And as you are leaving them slowly receding in your mirror, up ahead you can see Jason Trent and Harry Higgins approaching. And you've got your headlights on, and they kind of squint their eyes and raise their arm to block the light from their eyes as you drive by. And then you see chubby little Arthur kind of skulking around like a bear or something, trying to be hidden in the bushes as he moves from bush to bush, following Jason and Harry. Do you stop to pick up Arthur, or is that where you turn around?
No, I'll stop and roll the window down. Arthur, come and get in the car. We're going to turn back around and go see what's happening.
Oh, Professor, I was just coming to find you.
Yes, very good.
As you hop in the car and turn around, as you're coming back, you can see that the two groups have converged on Professor Harold's house, and you just see them walk into his yard. Now, the two of you, Marian and Julian, that are there in the yard, you see this group all together approaching the front door. And they don't knock, which, how surprising for someone just to walk into a professor's house. They just let themselves in. And they go in, you hear the door shut. And both of you give me a listen roll, Julian and Marian. Nice. Ooh. So, Marian, all you hear is the pounding of your heart in your ears as you know that whatever is about to happen is happening. Julian, you are a little bit more focused and can hear more of the conversation. And they walk in, and there's not even any greetings. There's not any, how are you? Tell me about your day. You just hear Professor Harold clear his throat. So you have the TNT and the kerosene. What about the brain case and the tools for surgery? Good. Now remember, it will take 5 hours for the enzyme to take effect. This means both teams will go precisely at 10:30 p.m. to be outside the library and science annex before then. Gustav, make sure you get him there before then. And Lawrence, you've secured the meetup point? Fine. Remember, we cannot fail our benefactors in this. The rewards for success are too great, and the penalties for failure too severe. Tomorrow night at 10:30, be ready to go. Now, I do not wish to see you again until then. Go with luck, and may the mother be on our side. And then you hear the door open, and they begin to come out of the house. Julian and Marian, do you do anything as they're coming out?
Are we well hidden?
Well, give me a stealth roll to see how well hidden you think you are.
No, she's not that great still. Oh,
Cool.
Good lord.
Oh,
All
at least
right.
it was not a fumble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oop.
As long as you didn't fumble, because it's dark and they're not expecting you, you think you'll be okay. With a pushed roll, typically there's a negative consequence. So here's what happens. As they begin to leave, Julian, you are near one of the topiary, and as it's starting to get into the autumn, the leaves are changing, and there's a lot of dry leaves on the ground. And as you change the weight on your feet from where you're kind of squatting and positioned, you hear the soft crunching of a leaf under your foot. And Clarissa stops and looks in your direction, and she calls out, Gustav, do you have a flashlight?
Oh boy.
And you see Harry Higgins say, 9. I did not bring one. Why? Well, I thought I saw something. It is nothing. Come. We have work to do. You and I must go speak with Ashley. You mean Professor Learmonth? Don't call him Ashley to his face. He'll know something's up. Yes. Professor Learmonth. Come. There's much work to do. I have been studying. I know the procedure now. We will do it exactly as we have been prescribed. And they leave the yard. Now, Professor Baldwin, as the group begins to leave the yard, this is just as you begin to reapproach the house, and as you're getting close, all of a sudden your lights shine right on this group of 7 individuals as they're leaving the house. And do you stop or do you drive on?
Well, if they're out in the yard, I don't want them to see us stop, as they'll expect someone to get out, so I'll slowly keep going.
You continue to drive past, and then after maybe 30 seconds you turn around and head back, and you see that they have gone. They've all headed south. And if you pull up to the house, Julian and Marian could join you in your car, and the 5 of you could head back to campus. And that's where we end the session.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
So when we start next time, it will be about 10:30, and Marian has a date at Hangman's Hill.
Yay.
And then tomorrow at 10:30 is apparently D-Day. So
Yeah.
we will end chapter 2 next session. And it will be potentially deadly. So hopefully you all make it out alive.
Good to know.
Let me turn on the development mode. If you all want to do your skill checks and your luck advancement, please do.
Yes.
Oh, Arthur got more luck. 10 luck. Whoa, Arthur.
Nice.
So Arthur got a couple of skills. What did Arthur get? Anthropology and listen. And then you got some luck. Nice. And we've got let's see. Gerald. Oh, Gerald did not improve any skills.
Dang.
Jebediah, 1, 2, 3, 4, improved 5 skills. And Marian improved psychology. Gerald did get luck. Jebediah did get luck. Marian did not. Julian improved listen. And Julian did recover luck, and you needed luck. Excellent. All right. Any questions before we continue? Or before we continue. Before we sign off for the evening? Or afternoon, as it is for Cross? Awesome.
No worries.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. I had a great time, and we now kind of know what's going on. We know the antagonist in our story, or at least some of what's going on, but to what depths they will go, we don't yet know. And exactly who our friends are still remains to be seen. So I will see you all next time. Thank you for playing.